Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today about the need for oversight, accountability, and transparency into the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. I am honored to be here on behalf of the American Immigration Lawyers Association.
So, members of the subcommittee, it is imperative that both USCIS and Congress act swiftly to eliminate processing delays and their destructive consequences. Most importantly, USCIS should reverse inefficient policies that needlessly delay adjudications. I also urge Congress to pass legislation that strengthens accountability at USCIS and ensures that the agency serve the American people, our families, and our businesses.
Having spent the majority of my career at USCIS, I am someone who strongly believes in the mission of the agency and deeply care for the people who work there. But I am also someone who can clearly see when the agency has strayed from its statutory mission of focusing exclusively on the administration of benefit applications and has transformed into a vetting agency more focused on stopping legal immigration. USCIS claims that its financial woes are a result of the coronavirus. However, USCIS's problems existed well before the pandemic, caused by years of fiscal mismanagement, as well as the agency's implementation of many policies that negatively impacted its own revenue. USCIS cannot furlough more than 13,000 U.S. workers. These are real people with real financial and family responsibilities. They are not pawns. And if they can't work, there will be devastating economic and social impacts on American families, businesses, and students.
Do you agree with the statement that there has been purposeful attempt to dismantle USCIS and legal immigration processes?
Thank you, Representative. Yes, I do agree with that statement, because if you look at the policies that have been enacted, they deliberately decrease USCIS efficiency, drive up the costs of adjudication, slow down case processing, and discourage individuals from applying.
We've heard a lot today about the budget crisis facing the agency. Ms. Dalal-Dheini, is it your belief that this crisis is a result of decreased applications due to the pandemic, or an outcome of an agency that is actually trying to dismantle itself?
So USCIS identified in its proposed fee rule back in November of 2019 that it would have a $1.5 billion deficit at the end of the fiscal year. So clearly coronavirus isn't the only problem. There may have been a decrease in receipts, but what we have seen is that there has been a decrease in receipts well before that, but an increase in personnel and an increase in processing times. So clearly that's not a good business model.
Can you describe in lay terms the impact that the proposed furlough would have on CIS personnel?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can give you examples of individuals who I know have gotten furlough notices. You have a single mother of a toddler who recently purchased a home. You have a recent master's degree graduate who just secured a position as an asylum officer and is dependent on healthcare insurance for chronic healthcare conditions. You have a dedicated employee who has served the agency for more than 20 years and is nearing retirement. And you have an experienced professional who has 2 young children whose spouse has already been laid off due to COVID-19. So those are some. But then there's also the impact of what will happen to U.S. families, businesses, individuals stuck in the backlog for naturalization won't be able to vote. DACA recipients will not be able to renew their benefits. Asylum applicants will face increased delays. And critically, businesses won't be able to hire or retain essential employees needed to recover from the global economic crisis that we are now facing.
We've heard a lot about mismanagement and policies that have led to the current budget crisis. But what factors do you think responsible leadership should be considering when rolling out new policies and procedures for CIS?
Well, I think the issue is really to consider how much, to be able to properly balance the fraud detection, the need to detect that, and extreme vetting, right? There's a difference between understanding who is eligible and not eligible, but then the vetting that this administration has taken to it goes to such an extent that it's just pushing back, holding people back, even though they're eligible. It's not about security, it's about deterring people from becoming American citizens.
So nobody here is advocating that we just tear down the borders and let everybody in. We're still talking about enforcing security.
Absolutely. I mean, as an employee of USCIS for over a decade, it was important to balance the need to protect our homeland with administering faithfully the Immigration and Nationality Act. It's honoring our heritage to welcome immigrants to benefit our country.
Are there any accountability mechanisms that Congress should consider before agreeing to CIS's request for emergency funding?
So, you know, as I mentioned in my testimony, there are a few. First, we really need to make sure that their inefficiencies are not passed off to the customers, unless it's by their choice. The second is reporting requirements, because since USCIS is 97% fee-funded, Congress does not have the opportunity to provide oversight, and reporting requirements need to be about the status of the backlog, about the processing of different cases. In addition, they need to implement cost-efficient measures.